Righty then, we are back in action, and it is Wolves, and it is at home. That's a win, right? That's a win, right? So, defeats to Brighton and West Ham in quick succession has left Liverpool breathing right on our necks. And there is a chance that Liverpool win 100% of their remaining games, which means Manchester United need to win at least 3 of our remaining games to guarantee Champions League football, which I think if you'd have offered this at the start of the season, we'd have took it, but the mood has just slipped, hasn't it? Wolves are safe. They secured top flight safety at the weekend after winning 27 of their points in 2023. It was a shocking start to the season, but they've pulled themselves out of it. I mean, they're still in trouble, but they're safe. And does that mean the possibility of them being on the beach? No, I don't think so. I think they'll probably be taking it quite serious, and I think with the pressure off, it allows you the opportunity to play a little bit. So they've been impressive at Molineux. They've won 5 of their last 6, and they haven't conceded, but they've only won twice on the road this season. Mirrors us to a certain degree at the opposite end of the table. They've only won 2 of their last 21 away Premier League games. That's 13 losses and 6 draws. It's not good. And they've lost last 2 in a row, including a 6-0 defeat at Brighton last week. United lost this exact fixture 1-0 last season. We haven't lost consecutive home games against Wolves for 60 years. Lopetegui likes to control matches through possession, or at least try to. And they are noted for being quite well structured off the ball. And he usually rolls with a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. But he's opted for a 4-4-2 in recent games. And his teams are generally energetic. There's a character that you can sort of line up against them. They do look well drilled, and they do like to sort of counter press, and they do tend to set up initially in a low block, or at least somewhat of a low block. They are quite proactive in regaining possession, which does sometimes lead to them setting up a little bit higher up the pitch and pressing a little bit high, or trying to be very compact in the centre of the pitch. And they are effective in there generally then at crowding out the opposition. He likes to operate with a deep lying central midfielder, whether that's in a 3 or a 2 or a 4-4-2 sort of shape. That allows the fullbacks to bomb forward and attack. He's number 6, obviously the key one of that, the deeper one in that midfield pivot, often drops back to create a bit of a defensive free. And then they sort of align themselves together while the fullbacks progress up the field. That's something that Ruben Neves has done excellently in this team. As we mentioned, the fullbacks are usually tasked with providing the bulk of the width, and the wingers invert and overload in the central areas. Kuno up front also tends to drift into wider areas, giving them a little bit of an outlet and lopsiding the attack. And he likes to keep a solid base across the midfield. He uses inverted wide forwards ahead of them in support of a striker where they have technical players capable of attacking with quality. He does like the central striker to drift wide before making movements more centrally and getting in between the opposition centre-half and the fullbacks and arriving late in the box. I think they'll go like this in a 4-4-2. And the star man, the guy that completely dictates what they do, is Ruben Neves, linked with Barcelona, linked with moves all over the place, constantly linked with United. He is head and shoulders their best player, especially in the deep role. Technically brilliant, distribution as good as it gets, short, long, set plays. He's got 6 goals, 1 assist, been directly involved in more Premier League goals than any other player for Wolves this season. He is a leader. He has got the ability to break up play. His defensive ability actually doesn't get spoken about anywhere near enough, and he is an all-action midfielder. People just talk about him on the ball because he's very good on the ball, but I think there's more to Ruben Neves' game than just being an in-possession player. I think he's got a ruggedness to him. I really, really like him, and if United signed him, I'd be genuinely happy with us signing him. He isn't just this long-range wonder goal kind of merchant. He is dangerous anywhere within 25 yard of goal, but it is a low percentage kind of shot as well. Neves versus Bruno would be an interesting matchup because they will operate in the same area, and obviously they'll know each other from international duty. So it'll be an interesting matchup between those two, I am sure. For United, I think we go with the Luke Shaw-Lindelof partnership. I think it will be Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. Midfield, I'm hoping for Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno, and then I think Anthony, Rashford on the left, Martial on the centre. And Bruno on the 10 if I didn't already say that. I can't remember if I did. I think that's United's best that we've got, and it's a team that can get at someone. And the star man for United, the match winner for United, I think it's Bruno Fernandes. Against a team that's going to look to be resolute and organised, you need someone with creativity and the ability to find a pass, and that is Bruno Fernandes. Him and Eriksen will be essential against the counter-pressing, looking to break lines, looking to try and split, press as it comes at you. He's been in pretty good form in recent weeks. He's started setting a tempo. He's a quite fearless, characteristics you're going to need. And his work off the ball will be important as well to combat Ruben Neves. Can he find wingers in behind? The fullbacks as they're getting forward, that'll be if the fullbacks do get adventurous and get forward, that'll be the space so you can get in behind. Can you isolate Rashford in there? Can you isolate Anthony against his fullback? He's created 34 chances for Marcus Rashford in the Premier League this season. Since Opta have data available, only 2 players have created more for a single teammate in one competition in the competition, and that's Eriksen for Harry Kane in 2017-18, and Deeney for Igalo in 15-16. So good partnership been struck up between those two, but I think it also highlights our absolute reliance on those two as a creator and goal scorer combo. Sickening. And how do we beat them? First and foremost, you stop Ruben Neves, because Ruben Neves is an absolute problem. He is the talisman. Every single thing goes through him. If he gets his head up, he will hurt you. And then 2, get him behind the fullbacks. The wide men for both teams are the dangers in the game, and I feel it'll probably be 1 out wide in that channel. And if Wolves push their fullbacks on, it obviously is a good thing for them. But if you exploit the space behind them, because they don't tend to sit in a flat back 4, you can get into them right there. And they sometimes invert their pairings as well. So United are going to have to be switched on for that as well. The fullbacks are attack-minded, and they do look to use them for width and support when they're bombing on. If you can get overloads in behind there and exploit the space in behind them, you're going to have a good old time. Let me know in the comments your score predictions, and I'll see you lot in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.